can do.
Opportunities. I'm about to go. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Like, why did I just stutter over that? I'll explain in a second. You know what? Screw it. I've had one hell of a week. So you know what? Everything's just out the window as far as the open. Because trust me, it's just stuff. So hi, it is I. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. Find me pretty much everywhere under that name, Shujin. Good to be back with you. Properly from the Midwest to the U.S. this time, right?
Yes.
All right. Brigid Fitch. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I was kind of telling Bridget a little bit about the shit show that I've had for this week, which is actually going to be properly part of the opening. So don't worry, you'll all get to find out about it. So hi, welcome back to the homestead. By the way, I didn't say that to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Orange juice. It's not.
Well, I'm having
tang.
banana strawberry orange juice.
That's fine. You can keep the banana all you want. The only reason you're blending it so that you can drink it is so that you don't have to have anybody giving you weird looks as you try to eat.
Well, it came from the store in the carton this way.
I thought you were about to tell me that the bananas came from the store in a carton, and I was so going to just,
Oh, it's a juice blend.
No, I got it.
It's actually not bad.
It's good to be back. If you join us live, by the way, over there on the live chat, you can kind of join us, be part of it all. Stephanie is there. Hi, good morning. Good to see you. Yeah. So, a couple of things. Item number one, I was gifted a triple pack of Tang this week.
Nice.
Yes. Well, it's a big like Capri Sun rip open packages. Not that there's liquid. It's still powder, but you know it's that kind of packaging. And it's triple pack, so it's the original orange flavor, the lemon flavor, never tried before, okay, and then the mango flavor. Okay, I'm really not one for mango, really, so the part of me that likes you know, the My Little Pony thing and the Bat Pony thing, there's a species thing that says that bat ponies all love to eat mangoes, so thanks. Person in question also sent me a new webcam. So if I'm looking a little different tonight, it's because I haven't exactly had an opportunity to properly, like, you know, tinker with the settings. Because the control software doesn't allow me to do any tinkering with the settings as yet. Thrill. So I got that to worry about. Just go me. Oh yeah, by the way, there was one other thing. I am not going to show the whole thing on the camera at the moment, but I had to renew my amateur radio license. So, yay! I found out that you have to pay money for that now. $35 to renew. When up in, let's see, all this time, I was originally licensed in 90. You know, I don't even remember. I think it might have been 90, 91. I don't recall off the top of my head. Anyway, yeah, so, it's been free all this time. And then all of a sudden, as of the middle of last year, FCC is now, requiring amateur radio people to have to spend $35 for another 10-year renewal, when previously it had been free because the amateur radio community does emergency communications like nobody else. They get no money from it. They ask for no money. They do the best that they can to help out people and experiment. So, okay. Oh, all right. Well, it'll be what it'll be. So there's my little beef for the time being. Stephanie's saying that I look fine and you like the fuzzy background. Considering that I've got an incredibly wide field right now, it felt like the right thing to do. I'm not thrilled with the way that it's set up right now, but you know what? I'll figure it out. Otherwise, how are you doing, hun? Like I said, you're back at the homestead, so that's actually a good thing. We don't have to go into the entire detail of it all, but I'm glad that you're home because that means good things.
Yeah, I'm home. Hopefully you could stay here. So, I mean, it seems like everything's going fine with my mom.
Good. Good. I'm very happy for that. And you know what? I had completely forgotten to do something. Well, balls. I did not update the 5-minute freestyles title on there, so y'all are gonna see the counter come up on the screen for a couple of moments while I fix this because I have had a shit show week and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with stuff. So there we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that, and we'll get stuff going. Fearless, you made it. Hi. So yeah, let me go ahead and do this. So with 5 minutes on the clock, let me start the 5-minute freestyle now. Absorption. Now, this is one of those things where, as usual, there's a couple of different pieces that I'm talking about. My car had to go into the shop this week, and before anybody starts, getting worried about it, here in New York State, every year your car has to go into a licensed facility so that they can do a safety inspection on it. They check to make sure that you've got all the stuff that's supposed to be going on. All your directional signals work, your brake lights are working, everything's working the way that it's supposed to. Well, brought it in on Monday. I kind of screwed up because I actually made the appointment for Tuesday. I wrote it into my calendar for Monday, so I got there a day ahead of time. They're like, it's okay. It's actually better because we're slower today than what we got scheduled. So I bring it in. I figured, it's gonna be, $50 because New York State, windshield wipers. There's a nick on a windshield wiper. It fails. Got to change them. Whatever. So I was figuring that. So the day's getting a little bit longer. I'm getting into the later afternoon. 2.5 hours later, and I'm kind of getting a little worried. But doing an inspection is typically a low priority kind of thing, so it takes a little bit longer. Right, whatever. And they're letting me know now that there's a problem with the car. Oh, okay. That's not nice to hear. Yeah, apparently the emergency brake system, otherwise known as the parking brake system, is seized up. And they're trying to get the system released enough to get the wheel off to find out what's happened. Now, for anybody that doesn't understand the terminology, the piece that's actually connecting to the road is the tire. Doesn't matter if you spell it with a Y or not, it's a tire. The metal piece in the middle of that is the rim. The piece it connects to is the wheel. And they needed to get into that to find out what happened because stuff didn't come nice because it was all up, and that's just the way that it is. Reminding you, this is a CRV, Honda CRV, It's an SUV, and it gets consistently still 30 miles to the gallon, which for an SUV is pretty damn. So I'm hearing $2,200 as a guesstimate before they've even gotten that off. So I'm scared because 6 months ago, car was in for a piece that broke off in the emergency brake system, tore everything to shit. $4,200. So I'm now worried because I'm looking at $6,000 in repairs over the course of 6 months. So after a couple of days, I finally get it back Friday. They call me up, ready to have the car picked up. Yeah, we can have somebody come out there to get you. Quoted me a number starting with the number 7. It was 4 digits long, and my head shut down because I didn't know it. $75. I'm rounding. 75.00. That's the 4 numbers that they gave me. They absorbed the cost of all of that hardware work because they couldn't rule out that they missed something last time 6 months ago. They absorbed that cost. That was a big chunk of change, and I know it. And I cannot tell you how hard it had been on me all week. So to finally have these guys come over and tell me, yep, here's the actual invoice that you're going to be paying, and again, rounding $75 instead of 7,000 or what I was afraid of. I could not wrap my head around this. I could not absorb this. They did a solid for me in this particular case. These guys that I've been going to for as long as I've owned this car for the last 10 years. A dealership, no less, where you would expect that, they'll nickel and dime you every opportunity, but for once, somebody did a really, really nice. These stories happen a lot, more often than we actually hear. But I want to tell you, for those of you that work in a service industry, when there is a serious situation where you've had a customer for a very long time, faithful customer, and you've known them, you can do something like this. If they tell you that they're grateful, I'm grateful. It is really hard to accept that there are people who are willing to do so nice like this, because this is well outside of the scope. So yeah, before we move on, that's really the story of what ended up happening. My head has just been in a tumble. I've tried so hard to settle myself and everything, and wow, man, I kind of told Brigid about this stuff, and yeah, we're officially out of that section now, Brigid. So yeah, this is one of those times where I didn't tell you this part, by the way. After I got the car and spoke with the service guys, and I was an absolute peach to these people, let me tell you. I made sure that the person at the desk, um, I made sure that I literally let her know several times. Look, I know how tough the position is that you're in. It's never great to be able to do this, to have to do this stuff. So you and me, we're okay. I'm not going to start yelling or anything. And she was so grateful. But man, when I got done talking with everybody and got my car, I I drove home on total autopilot. I could have had turkeys literally fly across the road in front of my car. It wouldn't have phased me in the least. I probably would have driven right between a break in them all, and not even thought about it. But wow, you know I got lucky. I got lucky this time. So yeah, this has been an interesting week. So yeah, there you go. So how has your week been, hun?
Not nearly so eventful.
Eventful's a good word for it. Eventful's a good word for it. God,
It's been same old.
you know what?
But
Something to be said for the same old sometimes. So yeah, this has been um I didn't put it in the chat for us, but you do have the link for the horrible scopes, right?
yeah.
Okay. Normally I would have checked ahead of time, but I didn't even think to do it. So if you're ready, we'll just keep it moving going because that's part of the job right about now. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and do that. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, that's cool. If you don't, I don't really care. Just go out there. I still have to find a company that I can send people to. Just to get a 12-sided die with the astrological signs on it. That you know to ask them, hey, can we name your company name? I mean, I'm not looking for money. I just want to have somebody I can talk about. Guess we'll see.
Well, we could use a sponsor.
We could, but let's try something over here. Um. Oh, and I'm finally catching up on what was saying over here. We call those checks MOT, as they were imposed by the Military of Transportation decades ago. Ministry of Transportation. Perfectly reasonable, Stephanie. Perfectly reasonable. Felix is asking the rotor. Yeah, I think honest and truly, I have the paper. If somebody were to go through the glove box on my car, the CRV that I've got, they would find every last service sheet in there. Every receipt with every listing of everything that was done on it. You could do a forensic, and you know how some people, like my wife. Oh my God. I don't know if you remember this one, Brigid. My wife, when she was going to the cancer research hospital, her chart, and I want you to think about this a second. Her chart at this place was 3 volume. It was 3 volumes thick. What does that tell you? So yeah. So my car, the glove box, yeah, everything that it's ever gone through. So if somebody were to like pull it over and say, want to do a forensic analysis on everything that's ever happened to your car, here you go. Just be careful opening that. It might hit you in the chin or something. So yeah, it's fun time. Right, orbital scopes. We got stuff to do. So this is gonna be fun and interesting. So let's see how well this works. By the way, it is commercial week, so I'm gonna be trying to sell you things based on pure nostalgia, but not gonna be earning any residual royalties for most of these items at the very least. So don't worry about ordering because we're not gonna get anything. Aries, this week Bud Light salutes Mr. Way Too Much Cologne Wearer. You've traded in your lime green leisure suit for a scent that announces your arrival 4 blocks before you get there. We hear your new showerless morning's motto is here a splish, there a splash, everywhere a splish splash. Every morning you wake up, you know 2 things for sure: that you've got 4 gallons of cologne and a plan. So this week, crack open and enjoy a Bud Light at home.
Taurus, better take a deep breath because this one's a mouthful. Now repeat after me.
Okay, by the way, before you go ahead and do this, I tried to do it all in one breath last night. Didn't happen.
Big Mac McDLT, a quarter pounder with some cheese, filet of fish, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a Happy Meal, and nuggets. Tasty golden French fries, regular and larger size, and chef's salad chef or gardener, chicken salad oriental, and for breakfast, egg McMuffin, hotcakes with sausage, hash browns, coffee, all three Danish, and for some desserts, some sundaes, three varieties, chocolate shake, chocolatey chip cookies, and for a drink, maybe a Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, juice, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Fanta, Dasano, water, and milk. I love all these foods, and I can get them all in one place. Just one question, Taurus. Do you know someone with a defib machine to be your wingman?
Some people know exactly what that is, and you didn't
No, I
win.
couldn't get it all in one breath, but
No,
I came close.
You actually did pretty admirably. Trust me. You did almost a little. You did better than me. I have to admit. Gemini, I got told do your worst, so you got that first school dance coming up, and you don't want Jeffrey Kaiser to dance with you, and why not? Because he's the biggest nerd in the school. But you're drinking milk and growing up fast. In a few years, you'll put on hips and curves and longer hair in Jeffrey Kaiser. No, that's not a question mark. That's an exclamation part. You'll be putting on Jeffrey Kaiser. So go on, drink all the milk you can get past your lips. Because remember, milk does a body good. We're also going to remind you: do not buy milk from Peter Griffin. I have no idea what that means.
Cancer Moonchild. We're selling you on a weekend event. You'll get to listen to some bands like Rear Candy, Metroid Metal, Timpstown Solution. Guests will include Yu-Gi-Oh!, the abridged series, and there will be Brawl, and voice actor.
I've got balls of steel.
I said a voice actor.
I'm here to kick bubblegum and chew ass.
Seriously?
Yeah.
A voice actor who's done Big the Cat from Sonic Adventure?
Balls, 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 balls.
And he's the voice of, oh, come on!
Hail to the king, baby.
The voice of Duke Nukem. So plan on heading out to MagFest and meeting John St. John. At least it won't be a freaking furry convention.
That is based off of a real commercial. And it is friggin' hysterical. I should really link that. Somebody remind me so I can link that in the show notes later so people can actually hear that one, because John St. John is a freaking hoot. Leo, you want to fly with a model on your next vacation? Maybe both you and George Burns can fly World Airways. He considers them a model airline company with a terrific menu, complimentary wine, and they'll treat you like a celebrity. So next time, fly an airline that's so good they named a whole planet after it. There's only one small problem, of course. Both World and George are dead. Which is better, really. You know how you get after a glass of red wine.
Virgo. Guys, are you a mouse? Want us to turn you into a man? Ladies, want to have your chest grow big enough to pop the buttons off the front? We can make that happen. Just swing into any station, not just Maidenhead. Stay away from Maidenhead, whatever you do. Out the rim and ask for Blue Sun brand Fruity Oaty bars. Fruity Oaty bars. Because watching a 95-pound girl drop Jane Cobb to the deck with a single punch never gets old.
It's true. It's true. Libra, you want a puppy to take care of but don't want the responsibility of having a real puppy? Now you can buy pound puppies. Little beanbag flat Fidos that make a satisfying crunch when they get thrown across the room and into the original 1975 blue wood paneling walls. Like I grew up with. Pound puppies. Because if the 80s taught us anything, it's that cartoons can sell damned near anything to kids. True.
Scorpio. With your help, we're going to turn the truck world upside down. Toyota's new generation XR5 Extra Cab is all new from the outside in with extra space for extra comfort with a 4-speed automatic overdrive. It's the most powerful, the most comfortable Toyota ever. There's a certain irony in knowing that this commercial came out in 1984, and we're still waiting for that upside-down truck world thing to happen. Until it does, we can just say, oh, 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 what a feeling. Toyota. That feeling would be unanticipation.
You remember that commercial, don't you? Back in the day?
Yep.
Yeah, some good. See, there was one that I actually was hoping would show up in the randomizer, which was sure. Raise your hand if you're sure. Didn't have happened. Sagittarius. Remember when eating candy for breakfast was considered a bad thing? Remember when Tony the Tiger started calling it Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and not Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes? I'm going to pause right there for a second. Yeah, I still remember when they changed over and there was no longer Sugar Frosted Flakes. It was just Frosted Flakes. And poor little kid me, I'm just like, what's the difference? At some point, the cereal makers just said the hell with it and brought out Cookie Crisp cereal. Literal mini chocolate chip cookies with an advertising campaign that got rid of the cookie crook and replaced him with Chip, an anthro dog looking to steal the cereal. Do you know what would happen to a dog that ate chocolate? They never thought that through. Bad things happen to dogs that eat chocolate, by the way. Bad things. Speaking of bad things.
Thief. Capricorn, if we told you tricks are for kids, what product would you be thinking of? If you said yogurt with crackling crystals, which were a Pop Rock knockoff sprinkle, you'd be right. Yes, just imagine it. You get to hear the thrilling sound of Pop Rocks crackling in yogurt as a selling point. We don't know which is worse, the fact that Trix yogurt is still sold, or that people have petitioned to get the crackling crystals back.
That is an actual true product. My God, that was painful for me to have to. I honestly have no idea why the hell anybody would buy something like that, but you know what? Whatever. Aquarius, get ready for the summer heat by buying a can of Country Time Lemonade frozen drink concentrate in your grocer's freezer today. Except, you can't. They stopped making the frozen cans of pucker in a tube because it was easier to make flavored sugar powder instead. So gone are the good old days of drinking mass-produced lemon pulp water. All you can get is something indistinguishable from Donnie from The Big Lebowski. That's not an out-of-date reference, though, right? That people still get that reference.
I remember the Country Time Lemonade concentrate.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad that you can no longer get that.
No, not from them at least. There are other companies that still do, and usually like house brand stuff will have in the frozen. But trying to find it they just don't make it anymore.
Powdered stuff is just so ugh.
Yeah, it really is.
Pisces, the only item on this list that is no longer advertised on TV, and it's just as well. Remember the sugar taste of Flintstone vitamin? Well, get ready for another Flintstone advertisement, but this time for the adults. That's right, you get Winston cigarettes, the filtered cigarette that delivers fresh flavor 20 times a pack. So take a Winston break with a cigarette that tastes good like a cigarette should. You know, the taste of polonium-210 and lead-210. The only good part about cigarettes has got to be owning a Zippo brand lighter.
We discussed that last night, and we've basically come to the conclusion that, Zippo brand lighter is probably the coolest part about smoking. Arguably, it's the only good part about smoking. So you don't need to smoke to own a Zippo, so keep that in mind.
Zippos are cool.
Zippos are cool. And those are your horrible scopes for this week. So if you would like something nicer for yourself or audio for yourself or someone else, you can ask, because that's how this works. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, whatever hasn't blown up quite yet. Although there are attempts, it's getting really, yeah, it's getting really bad. By the way, where I post these on Tumblr, last week's, that was all based off of jokes from Joking Luna over there on Tumblr. They reblogged it, and it's actually getting some attention for a change, which doesn't mean much because it's a very low bar considering how little happens with it, because I keep putting it out there, but I'm not going to pay to promote it. So it is what it is. Oh, good. It's episode 448 on the docket, Your Honor, because the Bible. So I had to explain a little bit about this one to Brigid before we got started. There is a video that is making the circles right now about a one Mr. Crowder. I'm not going to name his full name because, truth be told, after hearing this part and reviewing the video, the less said about this stain on humanity, the better. And I'm going to ask the panel to find out if I'm about right on this. Brigid, you kind of saw a good portion of that. Does it sound about right that the less we talk directly about this piss stain, the better?
I got nothing to say.
See, there's also a thing that says if you can't say something nice about somebody, it's Steven Crowder. Shit, I went ahead. Fine, it's the last time. Anyway, so this poor excuse for an alpha male decided that he was going to berate his then pregnant then wife, who is neither, last I checked, and basically did the whole, well, you have to do what I tell you to do because. And one of the things was the thing that kept coming up was that she needed to obey. And if anybody else's skin is crawling a little bit, yeah, good reason for that. Once upon a time ago, the wedding vows, and this doesn't go back terribly far. The common wedding vows were to love, honor, and what's that last one? Come on, Brigid,
Obey.
say it for me. There it is. Obey. So, yeah, before we got started tonight, I kind of, like I said, kind of filled Brigid on this. And it is fair to say that we both found the entire thing, what's a good term for it? Skeevy is the term that's coming up in my head. What have you got for it?
It was very, very cringe.
That's a good word. You're shit. You're older than me, and you're more in touch with the right term. All right, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, so Stephanie, he is vile. Vile is a good word for it. And only set up his sect to be a dictator. Yeah, that's a thing. So he gave his wife all kinds of shit because she wanted to go to the gym and was offering to go to the store to pick up whatever it was that he needed on the way back. His thing was, if you take the car, I can't go anywhere. And if I need to go somewhere, if I want to go somewhere, I can't because you've got the car. So you can't go anywhere because I said so. Now there's a thing about this video, and Brigid took a look at it. So I didn't bring this to you because I wanted to kind of spring this on you at this point. I know that it's real shitty of me to do that, but in the back of the video, did you notice that there's a pool in that backyard?
I did not.
There's a pool in the backyard. So the idea that a couple who live in a house with a backyard, with a ring camera, with a pool in the backyard, and they're expecting a kid, and there's only one car. Uh, uh, Something's telling me that car was his? Question mark. So,
Well, probably his car. She probably would have been expected to homeschool.
oh God, I hope. Well, hey, look at the bright side. She is, to the best of my knowledge, currently no longer pregnant, nor his wife. So,
So maybe she has a car now.
well, that wouldn't be so bad. I mean, you pick up a 1-ton car, you drop off the pain in the ass off of your ass. So, that sounds like a fair deal to me.
I hope she got the house.
I hope. There's a lot of things to hope right about, but we'll leave that aside for right at the moment because too many things. So the problem that we're dealing with has that as like the tip of the iceberg, of which we know full well there's just so much further down from that. But the problem with this kind of thing is that so much of this patriarchy, because I mean, how else can you really call it, is biblically minded. Because God, according to the Christian religions, and yes, Catholics, that includes you too, shut the hell up. You know, there's that triumvirate, okay? And then it's the priesthood, okay? And then it's the man of the house. And then the woman, and then the children, and those can sometimes kind of vary on who has more authority depending as to what sect you be part of. Because if memory serves, I'm sorry that I'm sorry that Tech isn't here right now. Judaism, if memory serves, you have your bar mitzvah as a kid at 13 or 14ish. You suddenly have more authority than your mom. So weird. So if anything comes down from God to the priests, well, first off, I mean, who's gonna tap that phone line? But you know, whatever. And then the priest down to the head household, the man of the house. There's a reason I'm saying it. Then they can pretty well just dictate to the rest of the house how things are supposed to be, according to them, because they've got it on good authority that they can do whomever whatever they want to do. Uh, that was not a slip up on my part. And just to finish off this setup, the reason why I'm saying the man of the house, the husband, because this also falls into the whole. Well, if you've got two men married, two women married, or two of whatever other, then who's the man of the house? That doesn't work anymore. So we can't have that. We can't accept that. So those people can basically just piss off. So aren't we glad that we don't have to be dealing usually with biblical interpretations of what marriage is supposed to be, with the notable exception of several localities here in the United States, because there are still some county clerks that will say, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, by the way, which reminds me, honest and true question, Bridget, I haven't looked up. I haven't spared I haven't spared a neuron on this woman in goddamn forever. What the hell was her name? Um, Kim Dumbass didn't want to do the same sex marriage, or as some of us call it, in whatever county clerk's
I think she
office.
got reelected. Her name
Oh,
was Kim Davis, and I don't think she got reelected.
I'm very glad. She caused a big pain. She now see, this is not going to sound like it makes sense, but just humor an old man for a second. I'll show you how it wraps around. We've talked before. You're in the military, you get an order that you know full well is blatantly an illegal order. You are required to disregard and not follow through on that order, right?
Yep.
It's part of the thing that it's not just you should. It's not just a you need to bring this to somebody. You are actively supposed to. Yeah, that's wrong. We're not doing that. As I've understood the way that you've kind of explained it.
Yeah. I mean, just following orders is not an excuse.
Yeah, I think they talked about that in Nuremberg once upon a time ago, right?
Yep.
See, I remember my history. I'm good at some of this stuff. So when Kim Davis decided that, oh God, I didn't even seriously. I have not spent a single neuron of memory on this woman in so long. I'm I'm just cringing internally because I have to think about her now, and now I'm trying to remember what year was that it doesn't really much. Someone in an elected position like that, if they think that they have been given an illegal order, what kind of what kind of um resistance do you think are they typically allowed in positions like that?
Well, I mean, the law was the law, so it was not illegal.
Right,
She is the one who is violating the law.
right. But she thought otherwise, kind of.
No, her religious beliefs dictated otherwise.
Exactly. So in a situation like that, the what is I mean, I think we can both agree the only real um form of refusal that would be legal for her, because we found out it went through the courts and she got slapped pretty hard. And you know what? Couldn't be happier. The only recourse that she legally had available to her was what's the word that I'm looking for?
Resign.
That's the word I'm looking for. She could have just given up the position and just said, "Nope, not doing this," and then it wouldn't be in her hand, and she wouldn't have needed to hire a lawyer. Actually, she probably would have. You know
To
what? That
resign, I don't think she would have. I think she could have just resigned her position.
well, if that becomes kind of an interesting, because if it was a matter of intentionally resigning to hold up the couple's application,
Well, they would have had someone else do it.
somebody else in the office would have done. Yeah, that's right. If I remember right, the news report said that somebody else in the office would have done it anyway, but they were not at. They didn't have the authority to do. think. I may be misremembering the news story because, like I said, I haven't spent a single neuron of memory on
She wouldn't allow them to.
it. Well, yeah. Well, hence, with her in the way, they didn't have the authority to override her. Is kind of where I'm
Right.
going. But yeah. Can I offer up a minor correction? Is based on the Old Testament, not the New. Um, I'm not sure which piece you're correcting me on. Okay, see, by the way, forgive me if my eyes look like they're derping off to one side just a little bit. I've got the new camera over here, but I still have my old camera right next to it because I didn't take it down yet because I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this whole thing. So if I'm looking at the wrong camera like that, hi. So that's my fault. It's a Saturday Night Live moment, I guess. Looking off from the camera to read cards. I don't have any cue cards. And Stephanie had also pointed out, I will never understand the propensity in the US to elect bureaucrats. Over in Europe, we look at qualifications, not votes. Please take this in the spirit it's intended. Bless you all. You know, that's the way it's supposed to. It's also supposed to be a situation where people who get elected into a position of authority in running the government, A, have some at least passing familiarity with what they're supposed to be doing, and B, well, they actually have a desire to help make things work for people. So we've got a long-standing problem here in the US because, everybody needs to get ahead because greed is good. I don't know. I never watched the I don't know. Anyway. Oh, okay. So the correction was the Old Testament holds the patriarchy nonsense. Well, that's fine because remember, Old Testament's got a whole bunch of things that it holds against, supposedly, for some of them. Because same-sex attraction is supposed to maybe be um translated improper. I don't know how. But I mean, kids that don't want to. You know what? There's a thing. Brigid, you remember the Old Testament thing about if you've got a child that's unruly and whatnot, take him to the gates, announce it to the elders, and stone the shit out of it, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever anything that said how young or old the child had to be?
No.
Because if you've got you know 60, 70-year-old people, which admittedly was atypical for back in the day, but it's entirely possible. And they've got a kid that's I don't know, late
40.
40s. You know, could they just say, look, this kid of ours is just not behaving nice, and have a 40-year-old stoned to death in the at the gates?
I don't think that's how it worked.
Well, I mean, probably not, but I mean, says that it did. Eh, I'm the type of person that looks for these kinds of loopholes. And the fun part about it is I don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time, so whatever.
Looking for loopholes would make you a good Jewish person.
Or there's a buddy of mine that I know who works in the Canadian military, um, and he is somebody that looks at budgets, numbers, and collections of stuff that's supposed to be budgeted for, and he's said many a time his entire job is looking for loopholes. So some of the stories. some of the stories. Anyway, so the thing is, it doesn't matter which book of the Bible. It doesn't matter if it's the New Testament, the Old Testament. It doesn't matter. It it really doesn't matter whose interpretation. And interpretation is part of the problem, of course. Using the damned book for choosing how you're going to run an organization is just a recipe if you were to actually follow it. Because we know full well, no group actually does. No group actually does. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's supposed to be a thing that goes around every once in a while, and it's the Bible challenge. You get a bunch of people together, everybody flips through the Bible and just randomly selects a page and start on the beginning of that page and read down what it says and follow and do what it says. Behave the way that it says on the page or dual pages that you're at. And the last person to get arrested wins. I don't know what to make of that, but I've always thought that would make for an interesting challenge. Open up one of these. I would never buy one. Open a Bible, just turn to a particular page, read through it, and see what does it have to say. Because it can't be good. Well, all right, that's not entirely true. There are a couple of nice passages. You know, there's a couple of nice ones. You know, about love. There's a couple of them. Not the whole thing. That's damn sure. But that's the problem right there, isn't it? These patriarchal sons of bitches just take it for granted that they are the head of the family, ergo they own the family and all that entails. Before we got on, we were kind of talking a little bit about it, and you, Brigid, you know somebody that it kind of fit that description, where they were the owner of the married family, and it was terribly unflattering. And you know, I'm kind of wondering, the video that we had both watched at this point about this son of a bitch. I have to imagine that there were some uncomfortable, um, too close to reality for you to look at that and just go, "Wow, that's a one-off."
This guy was just a jerk.
You know, I think that's the nicest thing I've seen anybody say about that interaction. So that's you're being very generous to me.
Well, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, his behavior was deplorable.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry that he's all mad that the law allows for, his ex-wife to file for divorce and that she's quote unquote allowed to do that. He's just going to have to get over it.
Yeah, there is that. Stephanie is also reminding you can download the Bible, whichever version you prefer, for free. I wouldn't. I wouldn't even. The only times that I've ever gone looking up Bible verses is not from downloading a version of it. I will look, I will do a Google search, and then I will bring up a web page that's got to show it, because I cringe even at the idea of loaning my phosphors. I'm not using phosphor screens, but get the pixels on my display to view the text from this. a cursed witch. But the problem, the problem that we've got is that, it's like I said, it's not, excuse me, it's not even the Christians. Jewish families, women have had the same problem with the whole divorce thing. I mean, how many stories have you read, Hun, where there are women in Jewish communities? I mean, Tech has even talked about this, who can't get a a a Jewish divorce, which is called a get. I know it can be confusing because it's the same word pronunciation as an English word, but in Judaism there is something that's called a get, which is a religious divorce, and there are women who their husbands refuse to give it to release them from their religious thing, even if the civil thing has gone through. We've talked about that, and that was until I started doing the show. I had never heard about that. I never knew about that. So I'm kind of wondering what you thought about it. Because I'm like I said, Tech has talked about that on occasion, and eye opening for me.
Well, I can guarantee you that if this guy was Jew, he would not have let his ex-wife have one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is.
And
Yeah,
what scares me is people who think like he does. I mean, and with the push that they had in Arkansas years back for covenant marriage, I'm afraid there's going to come a point where some states are going to pass laws where you can't have a no fault divorce anymore. Texas may be one of those states.
and I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Because depending as to how you want to look at it, a marriage license, in a way, and again, humor an old man for a second, is like a business license. Two people are then allowed to incorporate themselves for various benefits legally. There are certain things that you're legally allowed to do, and businesses can be dissolved. And in some cases, it's easier to dissolve a business like company than it is to get a divorce, or at least, like you're saying, you get rid of no fault divorce. Well, what the hell? It- I've got a problem with this one because I don't know how to even think about it because, well, in my case, I'm widowed as opposed to divorced, which, I mean, she really wanted out of the marriage. I mean, she could have just filed for a divorce. I mean, I would have given it to her. All right, whatever. It's fine. It's the humor part of the show, folks. Leave me alone on that one. Black humor is all I got sometimes. Uh, Now, somebody, I'm trying to remember, was it, wasn't it somebody on the Supreme Court that was bemoaning recently the whole things went downhill once no fault divorce came into the picture? Because I'm
I don't know.
trying to remember if that was, I want to name names, but at the same time, I don't want to give those names any credit because these cretins Anyway, somebody in the higher judiciary areas was complaining about the whole thing about, you know, society started going downhill once the idea of no fault divorce became a thing, because then women could get out of a marriage. I I cannot tell you the level of creepiness that instills in me, because it's so much you're the owner of the family instead of a partner in a relationship, and it's justified by whatever the hell thing it is. And again, a lot of times it's biblically oriented. Drives me up a wall to hear stuff like that, because me, I was never like that. Couldn't see myself ever being like that. And now, well, we we earlier we were talking about what the old wedding vows used to be, which had traditionally been for a long time love, honor, and obey. And Brigid and I had said before the show had gotten started that the last one had been changed out from love, honor, and obey to, and go ahead, love, honor, and
Cherish.
better word, a far and away better word, cherishing somebody else. I am not a biblical scholar, but the word cherish, even in any translation, I don't think I've ever heard anybody use that expression or have any reference to that term. Do you have any? I mean, again, I know full well you're not a biblical scholar, right, either. But I mean, we've gone through enough bullshit with all this stuff. Do you ever remember hearing anybody trying to quote a passage about with the translated term cherish being used in reference to people?
No.
A few times as I start thinking about passages about people is kill all the men, kill all the women that have been with a man, kill all the boys, but keep all the women that have not known a man for your own. And of course, there's also the whole thing about go and bring me 200 foreskins, and you can have my daughter. I can't tell you what level of creep that is, because it's just
Who
layer
would
after
want
layer.
those?
No, no. I mean, you go to the Mediterranean. I mean, you go to the ocean, you go to the sea, you scoop up a whole bunch of uh, squid, and you could probably fake it. Just saying. Calamari done well is a wonderful thing. Calamari done bad, the word is rubber band. That's bad.
Yeah, very chewy.
First time I ever had calamari, it was exactly that. It was bad. It was. I did. People wonder why I didn't like calamari for the longest time. Anyway, Stephanie was saying, I'm wondering which verses Mr. C is in breach of. Um, well, That's a good question. That's a good question. Because even if he were, I truly believe people with that type of personality would just hand wave it away as, well, either the whole it didn't mean what you think it means, the whole out of context play, or I can ignore it because in the situation that I'm in, I need to do something different. The inconvenience ploy. Either way, it's dishonest at best. I'm not going to tell you at worst what it would be because right now I can't think of what it would be. So now these days, marriage has gotten better than it used to be. Women are allowed to be their own agent, is the word I'm looking for. And it took from the 70s, I'm trying to remember, for women to legally have bank accounts, credit cards, their own fiscal autonomy, at the very least. That was about it, wasn't it? Yeah, it was in the 70s, early 70s, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I'm vaguely trying to remember. I'm pretty sure it was, and it was about the same time. Not exactly, but I mean, getting around the same time when recognition of abortion as being legal. Uh, Although in technicality it wasn't exactly abortion as I've remembered it was more like doctors are allowed to have privacy with their patient and patients are allowed to have privacy with doctors and what they decide to do is their own damn thing, so stay the fuck out of the whole equation. Or am I thinking of the Roe versus Wade thing a little bit wrong? Because it's been a long
I
time.
don't know.
I'm trying to. Okay, that's fine. It's going to be one of those nights. I'm sorry. I'm. I've had such a screwed up week for my nerves and everything that I'm I'm yammering a hell of a lot more than I really should be, and I need to pull you in properly and give you a proper lead in. Didn't I say last week that I have a real hard time knowing how to actually ask you instead of just leading you up to a wall that there's nothing past the wall there, dude. What the fuck do you want from me? Yeah, I did do
It's
that.
okay. You've had a week.
I've had a week is true. It doesn't help that this particular story is just absolutely I can't let me take a step back from I the person that I am absolutely the only word I can use for it is I'm absolutely flummoxed at the idea that there are any people, male, female, other, who would behave in this way, the way that this son of a bitch. I literally cannot fathom it.
It's because you don't live down south.
That's you know I I'm I'm not disagreeing with you, but the thing of it is, we have to know full well it's not limited. It's not just this.
No, it's not, but it took longer for the laws to catch up down there than they did elsewhere. And in some places, the mindset of this person here still holds sway.
Yeah.
I even, when I was in college, even went to school with people whose husbands were this way.
And she even calls him out in that video, calling it abuse.
Well, it is.
It is. But I mean, it's not very often that we're fortunate enough to get video recorded evidence of exactly this kind of behavior as it happens. And for the victim of um, abusive talk, abusive actions, for them to literally say that the word used is abuse. That's a level of level-headedness that I it says to me that she's dealt with it too damn many times, and she knew full well what she was getting herself. And that Stephanie's also pointed out, by the way, the whole thing about bank accounts and such. Not in the UK. We've had our own bank accounts for at least a century, if not two. Reminding you, I'm speaking over here in the US, women. Sadly, women.
We're not allowed to until the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, to say that women were, I don't want to use the term chattel. I mean, it's hard to avoid it. For a long time, married women were just, you were your husband. There, that one I can get away with saying. And it's hard to argue with that one. Up until the 70s, if you weren't married after a certain point, you were just an old maid, and who's gonna want you, and what have you got going for you? So you marry whoever you can possibly get. And then the 70s rolled around, and the time of free love and safe medical uh, prophylactics and safe medical abortion and no fault divorce. Hell, divorce. Being able to have physical autonomy, bodily autonomy, or at least for 50 years, give or take. Thank you, SCOTUS. I've got terms for you, but the Italian in me is just not really willing to say what it is. That's okay. Fortunately, I know sign language.
No fault divorce hasn't been around that long, though.
No. But it's one of those things that's kind of added up into it all. Because the sexual revolution is considered the 60s, and
But even as early as the early 1990s, some states still required fault. It just did. Just depended on what state you happen to live in.
incorporating Delaware like everybody else, you can port over there. Well, like I said before, man, black humor, it's all I got sometimes. I'm actually making a joke about Fox News. Fuck them. Because Delaware.
Well, I mean, I left Tennessee in 86, and even at that point, they were, publishing divorce notices, and then they would put with grounds work. Even as late as that. So any petitions that were filed for divorce had to have a cause.
They publish
divorce notices in the newspaper. It was right after, and that was right before the section with the obituaries. Yep.
Because it was considered a public notice, or the hell the term was for it, where it was like the legal announcement to the rest of the world, or whatever the.
They just published all that were filed and what the grounds were.
All right, whatever.
That's why
Because
I'm saying it was down south, regional.
yeah, no, I get you. Because I mean, everybody needs to know everybody else's business. Sure,
Yeah,
right.
it would put the names in there, the ages, and the grounds. Yep.
Oh, and Stephanie's fill me in. Yes, me is women. We is women. Can't read. I can't talk. I'm doing good. Well, hey, look at it this way. I said me instead of we, so all I did was I flipped a letter upside. I'm going with that. That's my. I don't have very much. I have no orange shoes left. But biblical excuses for bad behavior is something that's just been a thing for, well, you know, longer than the two of us have been alive combined. Because why not? And I think the only question I can think of at this point is, and I'm throwing the question over for your input. The stupid question, the one that covers everything on the damn show. Why? Why is all of this bad behavior just traced back? Not okay. Admittedly, not every piece of bad is traced back to the Bible. So damned. You would know as much on this as I do, probably even more. I mean, the easiest one that comes to my mind, of course, is the Mormons. Why? Well, because dude wanted to fuck as many women as he could, have as many wives as he could. All right, want to plant his dick. All right, whatever. King James, kind of same thing. So yeah, whatever. Brigid, seriously, why why do they just use this this book for justifying so much horrendous, horrific behavior? Do you think? Because I, I, we've said it before. You said it before. You're not that type of person. I don't even. I don't. You know. I don't even. I can't even fathom.
Because they can.
The worst part about it is whenever I'm on my radio streams and I say, why do I do the things that I do? Because the only three words that make any kind of sense in that case, because I can. Which, you saying it that way really makes me feel.
Well, it's a power play. That's what they have. They have their book. They use it to beat other people over the head with it.
Yeah, it's fair.
And if you get the really big family Bibles, you can use it as a bludgeon.
Well, if you get the really big family Bibles, they you, you can't you can't lift it easily. God, remember when the damn things used to be like a God, I can't believe I'm gonna say it like this. Where a Bible would be about as thick as my arm is long and look like a wizard's grimoire. I mean, I'll give him this much credit. Putting those giant things together, those were works of art. Content's not so much, but those giant ass leather bound books, a lot of respect for that kind of work. Don't do that anymore. Um, yeah, Stephanie's pointed out. I'm picking my jaw up off the floor. Apart from no fault divorce, all this was sorted out in the 19th century in the UK. And she's also complimenting you, by the way. Brigid is correct, of course. Take away that book of mythology, and they have nothing. God, the idea that this stuff was sorted out. So, I mean, here in the United States, we had to wait until 1920, the 19th Amendment to our Constitution, which was ostensibly supposed to have been granting women the right to vote. I have a couple of problems with this one. One of which is, and I know for well Bridget knows this one, it was just which women that were allowed to vote.
Well, of course, it was white women.
Which means we had to wait for every other to go through the courts, which included women of color and women that didn't necessarily speak English. Yeah, that was also a problem child having to deal with stuff. And well, let's not even get on to the Native Americans because they've been shafted all this time too. That's a whole thing. But
Equal rights amendment has never been passed in this country, and the Senate this week killed it off again. 38 states have ratified it, which is the number that was needed, and Senate said nope.
funny enough, I wonder how the vote came on that one ideological line to him. Maybe I should do the narrator's voice, but he knew it all came down to ideological line on the voting.
Yeah,
I don't have the pipes to really get the idea.
that's where we need Dalan.
That's true. That's true. That's true. He's yeah. Anyway, but you guys are right. Take away the book of mythology, what the hell is left? I said so. Which it kind of still is, regardless, but at least there's a. If you claim religiosity for it, at least you've got something that you can pass the buck to if anybody calls you out on it. Because then it's, well, I said so. Well, because the Bible said so. Well, can't blame me because, I mean, it's following what the book says. I you know, Does the Satanic Temple have something equivalent to the Bible?
No.
Huh. Oh, cool. It just one of those things that just kind of popped into my head. I mean, we know full well they've got the 7 tenants.
Yeah. But they don't have any kind of anything like what you would think of as a Bible or any kind of a book or anything like that.
Yeah, they've just got a bullet points of, these are what we think are how to run a good life, and then just kind of, wow, I didn't even think about it. I mean, I kind of knew in the back of my head that they didn't, but it just all of a sudden in my head it was just like, well, what do they got? Oh, yeah, learn something new. I mean, I knew it. And as far as groups like that, I can't believe I'm going to put it this way: groups from the Satanic Temple, from the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, the Dudists, the Bobists. I forget what the hell. Whatever. What are some of the other fringe religious the Jedi's? They were recognized, as I recall, some years.
Church of Bacon.
I'm sorry, the which?
Church of Bacon.
I forgot about that one. Oh,
I do not recommend the bacon flavored mints. They're nasty.
okay. That just hurt because I opened my eyes hard. Um, that I almost felt my contact lenses popping off of my corneas. I don't recommend that feeling. That didn't feel really good. Okay. Anyway, some of these, yeah, Phyllis. Apparently, the Church of Bacon. Okay, you know what? Perfectly fine by me.
And can't forget the first Church of Cannabis in Indianapolis.
That's right. That's right. Forgot about them. There are a lot of fridge. They're recognized as a church also.
What, Church of Cannabis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They cannot partake of the herb in Indianapolis during their worship services, but yeah, they're a church.
Well, now see, that's just all
And they
right.
do meet on Sundays.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an actual church.
Okay. Okay. So here's the question that I've got, and I know that this is statistically not a good representation for stuff, but again, curing an old man over here. Yeah, I know. I've said it enough times tonight. Leave me alone. We hear about these horrible stories about how people have acted in Judaism. They don't want to give a get in Christian groups, and they don't want to allow divorce. And don't get me started with the Catholics about the whole annulment thing, because there's a whole thing on that one. Ask me sometime, I'll tell you. But with all of these other fringe groups, which admittedly are a very, 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 very small sliver of humanity, can you remember having heard of any of those people being, I believe the term I'm looking for here is dickish like that? Because
No.
I sure can't.
I mean, the Pastafarians do have, their scripture, but it's not dickish.
No, it's not. Matter of fact, beer volcanoes and midget strippers in heaven, if I remember right. Pretty sure that's what it was. I've got a copy of the first loose cannon of the Flying Spaghetti Monsters somewhere. Got to find it. I haven't read it in a very, 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 very long time. why can I get away with saying that many varies? Because if I remember correctly, I originally downloaded it onto my Palm Pilot 3. Some of you right now are just like, is that a euphemism for masturbate? No, no, it's not. It was a personal digital assistant.
Well,
Very
somebody did go out and spent a lot of time doing the lolcat version of the Bible. It was funny.
okay. Well, here in the US, Jefferson edited a Bible for himself that ended up taking out all of the supernatural, if I remember correctly. And that version is still out there in press. Pretty sure. God, it's been a long time since I thought about that. Huh. I guess I'm going to look up a little bit. Well, in any case, so yeah, the point that I'm going to is that, admittedly, you combine all these fringe groups. It's a very, very small representation of human. I mean, kind of expect to have some people being dickish and, well, kind of don't really, or it's an incredibly minuscule number. I would find it really interesting to try to find the statistics for exactly that kind of thing, where it's, statistically speaking, how many people in 100,000 in whichever religious groups have domestic abuse problems reported. And yes, I'm saying reported because we know full well there are groups like, come at me, Scientology, Mormons, who, it just, you can't say it gets swept under the rug so much as it just gets shoved into a corner and trapped there so that nobody else can find it. Too many damn. But that's, yeah, that's a thing. But is it necessarily the book, or and I'm kind of looking for an opinion from you on that. Or is it the environment? You know what? Oh, that's I thought I was going to have a nice easy question to lob at you, because now that it's running through my head, it's becoming more and more muddy, because I just suddenly realized I'm starting to go for the nature versus nurture angle. And I was going to ask, do you think it's the book or how the people were raised, that the men, I'm using the term in scare quotes here, these alpha, was it the environment that they were brought up in? Was it the book that gave them purchase to behave whatever the hell way that they felt like? They feel entitled because of something else. It's too big a term. It's too big a question because we're not psychology majors. Like, wait a minute, before we go any, psychology is groups. Psychiatrist is the individual. Right. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm trying to keep track of these things. I keep forgetting. Okay, so pitching the question over to you. nature nurture. Is the book really necessary? Do you think that some of these people would just be this way whether they had a book or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think these kinds of personalities would look for some way to do what they do. I think to some of them, it's a convenient excuse.
God, I never thought of it with that specific term in mind. Wow, that's wow. I was gonna say that's sad, but that's terrifying. Because now part of me is thinking, well, if these people didn't have the book to justify it, and all of a sudden in the back of my head, it just went, then they become incels, and they're even more dangerous. Shit.
Oh, you wouldn't be wrong.
I wish I was. God, that's terrifying. For anybody that's kind of wondering and looking to look it up, I forget what the actual term incel is supposed to be.
Involuntarily celibate.
Ah, okay. Which is a it is. Would it be fair to call it a misogynistic term?
Yep.
Thought so. It's a slur term that
Well,
males.
I don't think it's a slur. That's how they self-identify.
Well, I'm saying that it's a slur term used because it puts the onus on the women folk that they should be flocking to them and they're not. So it's their fault that they don't have a girlfriend to hold on to and be intimate with. So they're just upset about that because it's their fault instead of their own.
They think that they are owed sex
There it is.
because they're not getting what they are owed. They're mad about it.
Guys, $125, you can get some really nice silicone pieces. Add an extra $20 for a USB rechargeable heater for it. Done. Come on. Is really easy. Really? No chuckle, no laugh whatsoever on that one. No
It
asking.
doesn't seem like very much money.
Well, it's really not. But I mean, it more along the matter of I was waiting. I was actually waiting for you to laugh. And how do you know this? You know, the fact that you're not laughing and you're not asking this question means that you've actually accepted the weird I things that are in my head these days.
I've
The fact,
accepted it.
I don't know if I feel good or bad about that. Again, these are the types of people, and they are in this group incels are, and I'm painting with a very large brush, and again, Brigid, help me out on this one. They're typically white, middle class, or slightly above, um, who typically have, I guess the best way of wording it is bad social skills and a self-inflated ego. There any check boxes that I missed, do you think?
That they encourage violence. There have people gone out and killed women over this, and other people egg them on. That's what's scary.
And I don't even know what to think about it, because again, I'll keep saying it, I absolutely cannot fathom this type of behavior at all.
They're the ones that are calling for government issued women.
Oh, I honestly don't get that. I honestly don't get that. They don't see women as people. They're a commodity. They're something that they want to have. They're not looking for, dare I say it, being part of a relationship. Which is what, they're not looking for love. They're looking to nut. There, I said it. And really, what else is there to think about it? They want porn sex. They don't want intimacy, or maybe they do, and maybe I'm just thinking about it. But they think they're owed. Where all that comes from, I don't know. But the fact that there was the passage that I was talking about before, where it was kill all the men, animals, women who have known a man, but keep all the young girls who have never known a man for yourselves. I don't remember which genocidal war that one was, but the fact that such a passage exists in the first place in the Bible is just, I don't even know what the right is disgusting. But again, there's the problem, because it's me. I can't think like that. And yet they do. I want to ask you, Brigid, is there, we have all kinds of fun quoting Ezekiel. All right, leave that aside for a second. Is there a passage, is there some kind of a story that you think about when stories like this come up, where men are just patriarchal bastards, and just know full well, yeah, probably got it from that.
Well, I mean, the whole Adam and Eve story.
Christ, what?
And that's been used as an excuse to punish women ever since.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. How did I not even think about such low-hanging fruit? Pun intended, even. No, I'm actually really seriously
That's the
pissed at myself.
rationale that they're still
No, you're
using, is that Eve
right.
caused man to fail, and so therefore women are horrible people. They're inherently wicked. They were easily led astray. Blah blah blah.
And childbirth is supposed to be painful because of that, and
Yep.
period pain is just another form of punishment throughout history because of exactly that, for the terrible thing of having a uterus
Yep.
because roll of the draw of the die. God, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't even think of that. Seriously, I am actually really, really supremely pissed at myself because it's just right there. Because see, I'm going through my head and I'm thinking, well, there's got to be something with uh crap the story about who the hell it was. Daughters got him drunk, slept with him to have sex with him. Uh,
Oh, lots daughters.
yeah, there it was. Or whatever other story is going down, and here you are. You're just like, well, dumbass. You remember the first story? Oh shit, yeah. I kind of. All right, yeah. Answer's right in front of my face.
Well, it all
That's.
stems from that right there.
No, you're right. You're right, and wow, man, just absolutely didn't even realize it in my own head. How weird is that?
You were overthinking.
I was. I absolutely was. Damn. See, this is part of the reason why I've got you over here. All right. The only real the real reason I've got you over here is because you decided that you want to be here. Thank you, by the way. Damn it. But the best that we can do, I think, is just keep calling it out when we see it. Maybe in a way, even shame the people that are behaving poorly. Try to find a way to pressure them to be better people. Although I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing to do, but then again, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to deal with this kind of shit. This is obviously not an ideal world. You know, I can't really think of much else that's really worth talking through on part of this because now that you went ahead and you reminded me, the whole Adam and Eve thing is the accepted rationale for punishing women in general. I mean, right from the get go. I mean, if
What
ever,
more needs to be said? I mean, it all hinges on that.
no, you're right. You're exactly right. I mean, what the hell else is there? Because it covers the Christians, it covers the Jews, because the Old Testament and the Torah are basically the same damn thing.
Yeah.
So whatever. And you know what? That covers so much of religion in general with those two groups. I think it's fine to just call that one right there. Um, you got anything left over? I mean, I know I've yammered a fuck ton tonight, but you got anything left over that that needs to get out here? Because I'm just bad tonight.
I really don't. I just can't believe that this guy had the nerve to come out and say what he said publicly. So he obviously doesn't see a problem with it.
Which, with the meta of it all, that's a problem in and of itself. tells so much, isn't it? I'll just say this, which has got nothing to do directly with everything. Vanity moment for myself. The fact that I can't even fathom this line of rationale, this line of reasoning, again with scare quotes on the word reasoning. Does that really make me such a strange person now? It shouldn't. People, just be nice. Just call it right. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and we hope that you found something worthwhile with all the perspectives that we've got, and hopefully found a way through some of this that makes something resembling sense out of this senseless story. I seriously, yeah, I've had a really, really crappy, stressful week with everything, but my God, this particular story, if for whatever reason you've gotten to the end of this all and you haven't yet seen the video from the show notes, I implore you, go watch that video. Not because I want to stress anybody out about it, but and I think we both agree on this one. The more that people see what this type of behavior is, the better you're going to be able to point it out to somebody else and get them the fuck out of a toxic relationship like that. I think we can both agree on that one, okay?
Yeah.
So, chat, guys, thank you. Phyllis, Stephanie, appreciate it. I know this was not exactly the best showing for me this week. Like I said, I've been under heavy duty stress for all week, so this is the best that I. Brigid, I cannot thank you enough for showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. And I remember to actually ring you to make sure that you were able to show this time and be awake and everything. So that worked out good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we've had an interesting week in and of itself. Who deserves to get your big ire for this?
I'm going to say the GOP in the Senate for not allowing the Equal Rights Amendment to be signed to be added as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution because it's past fucking time. Been trying to get this done for 100 years now. Come on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Seriously, legitimately, 100 years?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, wow, I did not realize that. And second, wow, if it had happened at 1921, it would have been too long coming. But then again, we're not exactly known for being the bleeding edge of social change, this country, as far as, right? You know what? I'm on board. Good job. Anyway, we'll go ahead. We'll just get on out of here. Thank you very much for being with us, and we will hopefully have a better showing for myself come next week because I won't be under quite as much stress. I hope. Yeah, this place. If you'd like to be in touch with us, all contact info is over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. Phone number, if you want to leave a message, 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. And the podcast recording link is also over there for you. Please take care of yourselves. Safe. And And Brigid, I think I'll leave it over to you. Um, Last word for you for the night. What should people be doing as far as to keeping themselves safe when they go out in public still to this day?
Wear an N95, people. Come on. I read a piece a little earlier to where even the Paxlovid is, starting to, that COVID's starting to develop resistance to that. We still have a recombinant, have a recombinant that's making the rounds. So mask up, please.
Please stay safe. We want you back. So let me just get on out of here. Thank you. So till next week, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And lady, I don't want to do that. I am still Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You're my mate. And until the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.